There's a lot of bad advice out there when it comes to watering bonsai. Some people say you should water every day. Others say wait until the soil is bone dry. And of course, there's the classic, just feel the weight of the pot. Like that tells you anything. But following the wrong watering advice, even with the best intentions, can hold back development of your bonsai. And at worst, it can kill them. Like this one here. That wasn't me, it was my mum. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 most common bonsai watering myths so you can avoid them and keep your trees thriving. Keep watching to the end because understanding how these tips interact is key to watering your bonsai. Let's get into it with myth number 1, and it's one that nearly all beginners fall for. Myth number 1 is you should water your bonsai on a schedule, such as every day or every other day. This sounds sensible, right? Set a routine, keep it consistent, but the thing is, bonsai don't care about your schedule. They care about the weather, the soil, the species of tree they are, the time of year it is. And some days they just don't need water. So if you water every day, no matter what, you're going to end up with soggy soil, weak roots, and ultimately an unhealthy tree. And if you miss a day when the tree actually does need water, then things can be even worse, especially in the heat of summer. The better approach is simple. Water the tree when it needs it. That might be once or twice a day in summer. It might be every few weeks in winter. And what's the easiest way to know when your bonsai needs water? Don't guess. Check the soil. You're looking for the top layer of soil, the first quarter inch, to start drying out. You don't want the whole root ball bone dry, but you don't want to be watering a damp pot either. If the soil is damp, you can trust that there's moisture in there for the tree to absorb, and the pot doesn't need any more water. So watering on a schedule, not the best idea, but that's just the start. There's another common myth that everyone falls for at some point, and that's if it's cool and cloudy outside, your bonsai doesn't need water. This catches a lot of people out because it seems logical. If there's no sun, it's not a hot day, then there's no water loss, right? Actually, there's another factor that a lot of people don't think about enough, and that's the wind. Even on a cloudy day, wind can dry your bonsai out faster than you'd expect. That's because trees lose water through a process called evapotranspiration. That's when water moves from the roots up through the tree to the foliage, where it evaporates through the leaves. And it's not just the sun that drives this. Wind can accelerate evapotranspiration just as much as the sun does. So on a windy day, your tree might lose more water than it does on a calm, sunny day. So if it's windy, even if it's cool, check your trees, particularly those in very small pots or in exposed positions. Now, the next myth is really important, but before we get to it, I want to ask you a favor. If this video is making bonsai watering a bit clearer for you, then I'd love it if you could press the like button. It really helps the channel and it lets me know that you want me to keep making videos like this. Now, here's another myth that trips up a lot of beginners, and this one can be really damaging if you get it wrong. Now, myth number 3 is you just need to give your bonsai a light sprinkle of water. Don't water them too much. Now, this might sound like a good idea if you're worried about overwatering your bonsai, but the trouble is if you just sprinkle the trees, you only wet the surface layer of the soil. The problem is that the core of the root ball, the area that really needs moisture the most, can start to dry out. That means parts of the root mass might start to die off, and your tree is going to suffer before you realize it. So to water your bonsai properly, you need to soak the entire root ball. Water it until you see water coming out the drainage holes at the bottom, and make sure every single root in the pot has a chance to be hydrated. But it isn't just how much water you apply. The soil that your bonsai grows in can make or break everything, especially how it holds onto water. And that's what myth number 4 is going to teach us about. Myth 4 is the soil that you use for your bonsai doesn't matter. Now, this couldn't be further from the truth. Bonsai roots need a delicate balance of moisture and oxygen, and that all starts with the soil. It's definitely possible to grow bonsai in garden compost, and many great practitioners have done this over the years. But compost tends to hold on to water and doesn't drain well, which can make it much harder to keep your trees healthy. On the other hand, an aggregate soil mix, including elements like pumice, lava rock, and akadama, can provide better drainage and airflow for the roots. This makes it easier to maintain the right moisture balance inside the pot and helps to prevent root rot and encourage root growth. So while it's possible to grow bonsai in compost, most growers are going to find it easier and safer to use an aggregate. Finally, we've reached myth number 5, which is a really important one as well, and that's overwatering isn't as harmful as underwatering for a bonsai. Now, this is a very common belief, and I understand why. After all, if a tree dries out, it can die off really quickly. So many people think it's safer to keep the soil constantly moist. But overwatering causes slow, hidden damage. Roots can suffocate due to the lack of oxygen when the pot is waterlogged, and that can lead to root rot, fungal infections, and eventually a dying tree. Now, you might see yellowing leaves, wilting, or slow growth as signs that your bonsai is being overwatered. Now, that said, Overwatering over the short term is not dangerous for your tree, and it's actually something I intentionally do. For example, when I'm going on holiday, I set up an automated watering system to intentionally overwater my trees when I'm away to make sure that they don't dry out when I'm away. I have a full video showing how I set up this system, and I'll link to it at the end of this video if you want to check it out. So both extremes of watering are dangerous, but overwatering is often the silent killer. Check the soil moisture regularly and let the soil dry out a bit between waterings. So to recap, watering your bonsai isn't about rigid schedules or guesswork. It's about tuning into the tree's needs, the environment, and the soil that it's growing in. If you want to make sure your bonsai stay healthy on vacation, then check out this video here. Thanks for watching.